Hi, this is a review for NQ Future for 28th of January 2026. The grayed area is the overnight price action. This is the overnight high. This is the overnight low. And this is previous day high. And somewhere here, this is the previous day low. So coming into the session, we can see that we are in quite a large uptrend. This is a large uptrend going for the previous few days. And even this one going over the previous day. You can see that in the overnight session we had two quite sharp legs to a new high, and at the same time these two legs overshot the higher time frame uptrend. So a reversal here is expected because overshoots commonly lead to breaks. So coming into the session, I was kind of looking for a potential retrace from this uptrend to cause a break, at least for this downtrend, but even for this larger downtrend. So let's see how it goes. For now, we can see that also in the overnight session, even this spike had an overshoot. And after that overshoot, we created the overnight high and we started retracing. This is the first time that the EMA is broken and we close below it. So it's a good area to start looking for reversal patterns. And looking at the price action in more details, we can see that it started with this small potential measure move, but it had no reaction, no support here, which indicates that a larger leg may be forming. Eventually we had this leg in play. So we have a few pushes down and then a break for this downtrend, and this downtrend made a new low. This is a good time after this channel plays out. Start considering a larger measure move that would take this overshoot and make a break on the other side of the channel. So that leaves us with this. And the first thoughts are that this may just be a break to push higher and eventually reach this measure move up. But you need to see how the price reacts. So you have one leg down, this is the second leg down. For the second leg down, we can see there are two pushes in it. The first push to a new low, and this is the second push to a new low. Price action a lot of times plays out like this. Oops, this is two legs down. And even this second leg also played out with these two smaller legs here before finally pushing over this measure move. And after you see the push here, you may want to look for a reversal pattern to go higher with the attempt to make a new high for this uptrend here. So you have the overshoot, now you have the break, and price may attempt to make a new high for this uptrend here. Now, also when we had this overshoot, I mentioned it would be good to look for a reversal pattern, but the only one we got was here. So you have this leg down, it plays out here. Then you have two pushes, attempts to make a new high, while you still expect a break because of this overshoot. So this may look fine. The only issue I see is that this leg, the first one, is larger than this one, and there may be a second push coming higher. And if you were to enter on this one, you are entering right into this trend line. So yeah, I didn't really set up the greatest, but you can see it clearly worked. You had two legs down, and after you reach this down measure move here, and even the second leg of the downtrend plays out, and you are starting to push back above, you may consider a long. As mentioned, you are looking for a reversal pattern, but in the opposite direction. So a failed second entry short. Unfortunately, it's a bit choppy here. You can see that you have first entry short, and then you even have here two attempts to make a new low that fail and holding on top. But yeah, it's just a bit too choppy. Maybe take it as a limit trade to ride it until this potential downtrend line. So yeah, it's a bit too choppy in this area, but we can see that price makes this leg up. You initially look at it like this, have one measure move, a break, second measure move, Once it reaches this up measure move, it starts going sideways in a potential range. So this spike here played out, then you can see a break, and it looks to be bouncing on this potential trend line. And now it's going for a new high for this spike here. At the same time, this clearly is one leg to a new high, so you are also considering that price may do something like this. In order, while you have this measure move up in play, you may consider that price may do this. But as we can see here, after this break, price had two small pushes to a new high, but then it failed and started reversing. So I think this here, especially this bar, although it's quite large, I think it's a good area to go for a short, because I'll explain in a second. So you may expect a reversal. As I mentioned, we started with this overshoot, right? Reversal commonly lead to breaks, and you are overshooting this large channel here. So this channel, right? You are overshooting it, and yeah, you are expecting a potential break. You also have a large failed second entry. It's a reversal pattern, right? So you have quite a big uptrend. This is a relatively decently sized reversal pattern for that uptrend. So I think it's good for 1-to-1, and at the same time, on a smaller picture, you have the latest uptrend here, which had a clear break and two pushes to new high. So again, it's a good reversal area to go short from multiple reasons. Big picture, the overshoot of the uptrend, the large uptrend, and this uptrend had an overshoot as well. And then from a smaller picture, you just had one leg down. You have a break, and this break also constitutes two attempts to make a new high for this uptrend here. Then you have a break for the spike here for the first leg higher. You have a clear break, and then this is the second attempt to go for that new high, which fails. And then you also have a fair second entry short here, long, sorry. So one leg up, second leg up, and a very clear failure. So I think this is good to ride, because at that moment it confirms that there may be a second larger leg down, which fits with the expectation of having a break after an overshoot. And you can see it basically reached this measure move to the tick, and it had a clear reaction after doing so. So this was supposed to be two legs up, but the failure confirms that a larger down leg may be in play. And when you have this sharp push down, then you can see that it has a break and then two more legs to make a new low here. Then it starts chopping around. This is a break basically. So you are getting one leg, second leg down. The larger leg within this red measure move is comprised of two smaller legs, and in between you have this break here, right? So yeah, once you see this trend developing, you have the initial swing, this is the second swing, you may consider that a larger downtrend may be forming, right, in order to reach this measure move and potentially going even lower to eventually make a break for the large channel. Alright, so what happens here is that now you have, once you see this leg developing, you have a clear bearish bias, and you are looking still for reversal patterns to go short. And here you have this spike plays out, this forms one leg, right? This is the first leg, then you have a clear break for that leg, and yeah, you are looking for reversal patterns. Basically, you can look at this first, but yeah, it may look good, but the bar did not fully close below. You can see these wicks at the bottom. It indicates that there may be some bullish momentum still. But after you see this spike and then 2 legs to a new high, so the trend played out with 2 legs, that's usually a good tell that the price may finally be heading lower. So yeah, this is a good reversal pattern here to take, because again, when you have a clear bias, or at least you have a clear direction of the market, in this case heading lower towards reaching this measure move down, then any correction you get, you must be patient and you should wait for them to play out. Ideally, you would get to clear legs, something like this. This is the ideal scenario. You get one leg up, then a clear break, and then a second leg similar in length and size with this first one, and then a clear hold under the EMA or a key level, a push under the EMA, or potentially holding at an downtrend line. That's the clear scenario. Less clear but still relevant is that you see a spike, and that spike plays out with 2 legs to new high. So in this case, you see you have this spike. I'll mark it with blue. You have a break, and then after this break you have one leg, second leg to a new high, and a push, a clear push under DMA, which indicates that bearish momentum is stepping in right now. Right, so bears may take this lower now. So this is what we can see here. I think it's a good trade for 1-to-1. You keep your target below this swing high here, and then yeah, you can see there was clearly some support forming initially. So this is the large uptrend line. It bounced once here, it bounced here as well, and even the third time it touched it, it still had some reaction before finally pushing lower. And you can clearly see that price a lot of times, especially in these choppy conditions like here, they play out with multiple legs to new low. And even here, right, you initially have one leg down, second leg down. This is measure legs before having a break, and then after this break you still push below the EMA, you finally break this channel, and I think this is also a good entry for the reasons I'll list below. So at this moment you still have a bearish bias, even though you bounce quite a bit on this uptrend line. You finally break through it, and you have 2 legs here, right? You overshoot, but you finally break through the channel. You retest on the upside, and you get a hold on this potential trend line before finally pushing down. So this is a decent trade to take, because you have one attempt to reverse, second attempt to reverse. This is not, the second leg is smaller than the first one, but it's clearly holding at this downtrend line with a bearish big picture context. So I think it's good to take, because it's the it's the third bounce, at least if you do not count this. So first, second, this is the third reaction on this area, and it's bearish with a bearish context. So I think it's good to take. You still have this down measure move in play, and even this larger one. So yeah, it's a good trade. Now we continue with this downtrend. We reach the measure move, and then it makes one push lower before finally reaching this larger down measure move, basically to the tick, and then finally you get a push above this downtrend line. At this moment you may consider to see how this larger downtrend may hold. So I'm moving the potential downtrend line here, but what you see is that these 2 initial legs, you initially assume that the bearish momentum will continue, and you treat this as a break, and then you need to see how price reacts here. Will it push, or ideally you would expect 2 legs to attempt a new low, right? And it also, since we just made this down measure move and we have 2 legs down in a larger uptrend, you may still consider longs, but you would need a good reversal pattern to set up. So in this case you have 1 leg, second leg to new low, failure here. So you may consider that this break may become larger and take a trade once you see this push above the EMA. I think it's a bit risky to take it for the entire swing. It may have worked, but yeah, I would take it for this swing low here, because it can easily just make 1 leg higher and attempt the second leg higher before, but finally going down further to make a new low for this downtrend. This downtrend is not yet played out, so that's the caution here. So you take this reversal pattern, but you take it with the up measure move for the break in play and in mind. You do not push it further than that. In order to look for something bigger, you would need to see 1 leg higher, the second leg overshooting the up measure move and then retesting it from above, holding on top of it to continue going higher. But the initial trade on the reversal here, I would take it with this up measure move in mind. So what actually ended happening, and this is the market open by the way, it created these 2 large legs for the break, larger legs for the break before finally pushing down. So considering what we have so far, you have 2 large legs down, a clear break and a clear reaction, a bearish reaction at the break upper measure move, and then you get a push below the EMA. So I think this is a good, and also below this potential uptrend. So what you are basically expecting here, you are looking at this channel which seems valid because you have 1 bounce, second bounce, third bounce. Even here you had the reaction, so it's clearly a legit channel. So you are expecting 2 attempts to make a new low for this channel. So in here I think it's a good, once we break this potential uptrend, it's a good trade to take for 1-to-1 going short, especially on the retest here and rejection, because it's yeah, you are entering with the 2 attempts to make a new low. But maybe, yeah, it would be good to keep your target to this down measure move level here. So you get these 2 initial pushes, a break, you still hold below the EMA before making 2 larger attempts to a new low. These ones here. You see it wasn't initially reached, but market came back to retest it. It usually does that quite often. So once it made a new low for this downtrend here, you get a bounce. You consider this an uptrend on its own, but since we made a new low, you may consider that the reversal may be in play. So in this case, you have 2 attempts higher, 2 attempts lower here, trying to push further, and the break and the failure. Basically you get here this higher low. It looks decent to take for 1-to-1 because this higher low actually ended closing above the EMA and the previous down measure move. So yeah, we head into this uptrend, then this uptrend gets 2 pushes to a new high. Right, it's clearly 1 leg, so you may expect that since the correction played out for the larger uptrend, this is 1 leg up, you may get a break and then a second leg up. What actually happened is that once this spike here played out with these 2 legs, it had a very strong rejection at this area here. So it really pushed down, it retested the down measure move almost, and then it had another attempt to make a new high. So as I mentioned, this is clearly one leg. This would be the second leg that acts as an attempt to make a new high. So what I'm actually talking is that we have the bullish context and this spike, and then you have two legs down here, and now this spike here has two clear legs down which act as a break, and what you are expecting is two attempts to make a new high for this channel here. So what we get, this is the first attempt, this is a break for the first attempt, this would be the second attempt, which will go up to here, potentially pushing through, retesting it before finally making a new high. So this is how this trend would play out if it were to play out. But what actually happened here, you get these two large legs here, but the second leg actually fails to push through this potential downtrend. So you have this bounce here, and now you see it reacting for the third time, confirming that this most likely will evolve into a larger downtrend rather than a simple break for the uptrend. So when you see this reaction here, you should have in mind that, okay, this is a rejection, it's the second attempt to make a new high and it's failing. So from now on, your bias should switch to bearish bias. And you should also consider that even a larger measure move down may be forming. Again, starting the day, we mentioned that we had this overshoot and we were expecting a break. The first channel that would get a break is the blue one here. And this down measure move may be causing the break for this blue channel, and the second channel that may get a break is this larger one here. I have this overshoot and price might go to the other side of the channel to make a break, or at least attempt to make a break. So this second leg down, once you see this failure here, this is a good reversal pattern. You have one leg, second leg, failure. You even have this small fail second entry here. When you see it closing below the EMA here, I think this is good trade to take for 1-to-1. Continue on with the bearish momentum. Alright, so, and maybe one more thing to add is that on these clear failures, this is a clear shift in market structure. So from these two legs failing, it marks usually market likes to make measured legs from these areas. So you can clearly see it made these two legs down, clear reaction here. I call them manipulation moves because these failure points are quite important, and once market, you see, it shifts the structure. It started to go down because it just failed to make a new high. So that's a clear significant level for the market here. So usually when it fails to go up, like in this case, it will create a measure move in the opposite direction a lot of times. So in this case, it created this two measure move. Initially, it was the smaller measure moves here, but then this becomes an uptrend, a small overshoot. This is a break. And remember what I said earlier, the ideal break is something like this. Two clear measure moves before pushing lower. The less obvious choice is you get a push higher, a break, and the second leg of the potential break has two legs to a new high. So in this case, you have one leg, second leg, and then you finally push lower. I think this is also a good trade to carry on heading lower. Here, it finally made this larger break. So you have one leg up, break, and then you can clearly see here two attempts to make a new high, which would act as the second leg of this break, so it would be this one, and a clear failure and hold below the EMA. So another good entry here from my point of view, because you get two legs pushing back below this down measure move and closing below the EMA and forming this small picture fair second entry long. So good to take further. Once you see a rejection here, you may extend the channel, have it like this. I'll change the color to see it easier. So you get this move and then this move, right? Once you get two smaller legs, you get this break, and you see the bears are still pushing price lower. You make a higher level measure move, this one. Once it reaches, has some reaction, but then it pushes to a new low for the second spike down. Then it has a break, and at this moment you want to be paying attention to how this potential downtrend may react. So you have the downtrend initiated here at the failure to go higher. You have the swings, you have a third very close bounce here, and this break goes to the same area. And you again see that the price reacts quite bearishly, indicating that we may head even lower. So again, a good entry point here because of this break and the strong push below the EMA, bar ending on its low, right? And then this second leg of the break played out already. Alright, so this downtrend carries on for a while, it makes a new low, it again attempts to reverse, but fails to do so. It pushes back below the EMA. At this moment you reach the second leg down, so I would not take any short here because yeah, you're going into this down measure move. What you may want is to wait for price to retest the two clear legs, something like this, and then closing below to go lower. In this case it did do that, but a very small picture. This looks like one leg, so it's a bit tricky to take, but eventually price went through and created this low here, and it created this low also by overshooting this trend here as well as this larger downtrend here. So once you see that you get this overshoot, you're also retesting the overnight high and then the previous day high in the close of previous day. You may consider that a reversal may be setting up soon, right? So you see this spike and push, clear push and hold above the EMA. That's the first indication, and you would like to see a clear reversal pattern. This is just one leg, and you get two legs down here and a hold. So ideally you would get two clearer legs down and a hold, but yeah, this is a small picture. It's a bit risky because you're heading straight into the previous overnight level, so I would have liked a better setup. You get these two clear legs up, you get another break, and then it pushes back above the overnight high, and it retested before pushing lower. So when you get this push down, it acts as a break for these two legs higher, and then when you see this push and hold on top, you start thinking that there may be two larger legs up forming. So these two initial attempts to go higher, they are combined into a single leg, and then you have a break and you expect the second leg to start. And this makes sense because you are expecting a break after this overshoot, right? So you have this overshoot and you have this overshoot here of this channel, and this entire area here, it's an overshoot of this downtrend. So now you expect price to at least make a break of this blue for this blue channel, but also eventually even try to make a break for the larger downtrend, depending whether this is valid or not. But yeah, this second move up, it it's a good target for the break of this blue channel. So once we create this, right, it reaches the up measure move. You see it struggle here a bit at the downtrend. It initially attempted to go lower from here. It made 2 small attempts to go lower, but it held and it still moved up to reach the measure move. But once you see this measure move reached with this downtrend here, and you see this clear push below the EMA, I think this is a good entry, right? Especially because now, as any downtrend, you have large downtrend, you have a clear break, 2 clear legs, you reach the up measure move and you have a clear reaction and close below the EMA. So what you expect here is something like this to attempt a new low. So one leg lower, a break, and a potential second leg to make a new low for this downtrend. Right, so downtrend, overshoot, break, and now attempt to make a new low. So what actually happened is that you have a sharp push and 2 legs to new low for this sharp push, but we failed to make a new low for the entire downtrend. Overshoot proved to be quite strong. So when we start pushing back above the EMA, and especially after holding above the overnight high, you may consider that 2 larger legs may be forming. Something like this. And the way to think about is that we had this break of this blue downtrend and we attempted to make a new low for it, but we failed. So at this moment what should be on our mind is that we may actually push higher to make a break for this larger downtrend, and this measure move is one initial target towards that higher purpose. So in here you may consider the following trade, this one here. I think it's a good one because the bigger context is telling you that you have large uptrend break. This would be the first attempt to go lower. This spike down playing out its one leg. You have a clear break, and this would be the second attempt to go lower, which is the pair of this leg. So you would expect something like this, but it could only push up to here, and then it failed sharply. So this is the indication that a larger leg up may be forming, and the attempts to make a new low are failing. So you most likely are heading higher. But I think even this one's a good trade. Now, ideally you would like to keep your target below the up measure move here. So if you enter here and even you have this higher low as confirmation, I think this is a good trade, but you see it even made this spike back here. Anyway, it finally reached this up measure move, not without struggles. You get this leg higher. It played out with 2 legs to new high. Right, you have a break and then it looks like it created 2 different legs to a new high. So price, especially in these choppy days, it really likes to move in this manner. So the second leg of the measure moves are a lot of times quite choppy. The first ones may look swift, but the second ones are a lot of times choppy and comprised of these smaller measure moves to finally reach a target. And even this one looks like maybe more or less having a reaction here, right? So once it attempts to make a break, you can see that it is not successfully making a break. You find some bearish reaction at the trend channel here, and it attempts a new push lower. So very sharp push lower. You may consider this potential quite flat uptrend forming. This would be an overshoot for it. You get a break. So if I were to draw this, you see it's quite a flat channel, but still a channel. You get an overshoot and the rejection at the downtrend top line. And this rejection created a sharp push lower, which acts as a break for this uptrend. And then, yeah, it attempted to make a new high, but it's really getting choppy in here, so not much to take. You can clearly see the chop going higher, 2 attempts lower, 2 attempts higher, 2 attempts lower. So at this moment you have one leg, break, first attempt lower, break, second attempt lower, or even simpler, one leg, break, second attempt lower. So one leg, break, second leg, failing, going higher. So yeah, since we failed to make a break here, and you have this break and now, sorry, overshoot break, you still expect a new high for this channel here, which is what price does here. It pushes up to a new high. It has a break. It plays out the smaller uptrend with 2 legs to new high. And then it's really chopping in this area. This second leg up, right? It has 2 attempts to make a new high. One attempt, second attempt, failure. Here, when you see this, you are having also this triple test. 1, 2, this is the triple test. You are closing out of this potential downtrend, so I think this is a good trade to take for 1-to-1, because the bigger context now says that you have a break, so you have an overshoot. Now you finally have the break, which break potentially looks like this, right? So you start with this leg, you have second leg, then you have this break, and this, when you see this push above EMA and failing to make a new low, you combine these 2 legs, make them a single leg, and now this is the second leg up. So it reached this area, now you have a break for this large downtrend. So you are looking for reversal patterns to go lower to make a new low for this downtrend. So when you see this fail second entry long at the top of the measure move, at the top of the range after this triple test with having a break formed for this larger downtrend, now we are going short to attempt to make a new low for this downtrend, the large downtrend here. So that's one entry. When you see there is some reaction here, but not so much, it just pushed down, then you combine this into, yeah, one leg, and then you see this leg, it even plays out with 2 legs to a new low. So at that moment I would combine this as one leg. This would be the second leg. So one leg down, break, failure here, again holding below this previous range lows. So I think this is a good trade to take, because you have one leg up, break, second leg up, and 2 small attempts for this second leg up, failing. So I think it's a good trade, because there are 2 scenarios here. It's either this is one leg up, this is first leg of a break, this is the break between these 2 legs, and you are going lower to make a larger break, second leg down for this, and then potentially have another second leg up like this. So in this case you're taking the short trade within this second leg of a potential break. This is one scenario. The second scenario is you have one leg up, this is the break, this is the second leg of this measure move here. When it fails, you are basically resuming the downtrend, and this fits the narrative that you may want to make a new low for, price may want to make a new low for this downtrend. So since you are short biased, you are taking trades in the short direction, and you are taking trades where the second leg either reached the measure move or it attempted to play it out and failed. So second leg, it played out with 2 legs, still failed to make a new high. So, and you have this sharp push below, so it's an indication that bears are stepping in. Alright, so price finally pushes down, these are the two initial attempts to make a new low, which you see it's in this area, but you clearly see the price pushing through this down measure move, retesting it from below, and clearly holding under it. So the second leg, initially there are two legs here holding below it, and even this second larger leg formed here as well, and then it pushed lower. Unfortunately, this push lower is quite low in the day, so it's hard to take. You are entering at the lows where there may be support forming, so no trade here, but it finally pushed lower, and you see, as I mentioned, when price fails to make a move that you would expect, in this case you would expect a second leg higher, and that second leg failed here. This is a lot of times the place where market will make two equal legs, equal measure move legs in the opposite direction. So here it failed to go higher, so you have one leg down, a break, this is the second leg down before finally reversing. All right, and maybe one more thing to look at. Yeah, once you make a new low, you get this very sudden spike, very bullish spike, no clear entry here. So look, there is a second entry forming here, one leg down, second leg down, push and hold, but it's a bit choppy. You may consider it here, small risk reward, but it really pushes up. You get this break, two pushes to a new high, one push, second push, then a larger break and another leg higher. Yeah, so yeah, I think the key for today was it was barely just an downtrend. Sorry, it was very choppy, quite slow. But the key takeaway for today is look at these measure moves and really understand how they get larger and larger day by day, as well as take into account the context. The context was key. Basically, you started the day with knowing that you have overshot two uptrends. So price is very likely to attempt to make a break, which means short bias for the day. And then you start looking for reversal patterns. And then with the reversal patterns, you start looking for measure moves getting bigger in real time. So you have this overshoot here, you step into this downtrend, then within this downtrend you can clearly see this downtrend, smaller downtrend forming and having good reactions. You have an overshoot of both this and this, and this is the opposite of what happened here. We have large uptrend with smaller uptrend within it. Both have been overshot, so you expect a break, and now here you have large downtrend with smaller downtrend within it. Both are overshot, so you expect a break on the other side. So yeah, price really worked as expected. The tricky part is knowing how to enter and how to look for these targets with measure moves in a safe way. So yeah, I hope that helped. Thanks for watching.